Cicadas. Hello everybody, welcome to the Wonky Angle, where I talk about electronic music, both new and old, and it's time for another top 10 list. This time of one Joel Thomas Zimmerman, aka Deadmau5. Now, I don't consider Deadmau5 to be an all-time favorite artist, but he was the first real mainstream EDM artist I ever got into. And as such, he has been a pretty big part of my life. I've already reviewed his discography quite a while ago, and while I obviously don't like everything he's ever done, and definitely have preferences towards certain types of songs he makes, but there's not much from him that I can say I outright dislike, and I have a lot of respect for the guy. But enough of that, let's get the usual disclaimers out of the way. As I say at the end of all my videos, it's all my opinion, and you can feel free to disagree with it. I'm not Watch Mojo, I don't take a song's popularity into account. It's just based off of my personal enjoyment and nostalgia. And also, none of these lists are final, and only reflect how I feel right at the moment of editing it. And also, for this list, I'm only going to be counting songs that Deadmau5 has professionally released. So none of his old SoundCloud demos or mashups, like Get in the October Card Pig. A, because those feel like cheating, and B, because he doesn't even have a SoundCloud anymore. But non-album singles count if you can buy them on iTunes. Right then, let's get into this list. The top 10 best Deadmau5 songs. Number 10. 16th Hour, from lack of a better name. Here's a track that I think most people look over because of a certain track that comes right after it on that album, but I have to emphasize, this track really deserves more credit than it's gotten. This track is almost like a scene from an action movie or something, full of brooding and dark synth patterns, suspenseful build-ups, string sections, and everything flowing together perfectly without feeling totally bipolar like songs like Sometimes Things Get Whatever, stretching on for nearly 10 minutes and feeling like it could go on even longer. Why this track isn't just as popular as other big singles like Ghosts and stuff is beyond me. Go check it out if you haven't already. Number 9. Sleepless, from album title Goes Here. This is more of a personal favorite and not one that I think will be appearing on a lot of other people's lists. And I admit, if I were counting SoundCloud demos, then the original version of this track, Sleeping Beauty Pills Getting Warmer, would have made this list and been significantly higher up. But the fact remains is that I think this instrumental album version is excellent in its own right. In fact, I think not having any lyrics makes this version much easier to just get lost in. The warm pianos contrasting with the echoing percussion and buzzing bass with occasional string washes all make for a harsh but weirdly very relaxing and emotional track. In retrospect, I think this song also takes quite a few cues from 9 Inch Nails, a band who I've since looked into a little more and I don't think are really my thing, but this track has kept me returning to it over and over for years. Number 8. Careless, from Get Scraped. This list wouldn't feel complete without some mention of Get Scraped, and this is easily my favorite track on that album. From the glitchy intro that feels like some kind of John Hopkins IDM piano hybrid, to the bulk of the song, which is a more emotional ballad that still always gets me in the feels. And unlike Sleepless, whose original version with Joel's vocals never got released, Careless still keeps them around. While I probably wouldn't mind an instrumental version of Careless, it's probably for the best that the vocals are here. It's a song that is both interesting and stimulating to listen to, but also emotional and easy to sing along to. Fantastic track to be sure. Number 7. Raise Your Weapon, from 4 x 4 = 12. here's a more obvious choice. Well, maybe it isn't. I've heard a bunch of people say they outright hate this song. And, well, I guess that's their loss. While this song does have two halves by two different artists and doesn't do a good job of linking them together, I still love the song regardless. Skrillex's half of the track is some of the most intense and interesting dubstep he's ever done. He really brought his A game, even if it didn't really fit the rest of the track. But, of course, the first half is much better, with Deadmau5 making an excellent Cascade-esque vocal piano ballad and mixing it with his more progressive random album title style to amazing effect. It may be flawed, it's not a very well put together track, but all the parts are great. And it's one of the main reasons why 4x4=12 is still on my iPod, and I still come back to it every now and then despite my many problems with that album. Number 6. HR 8938 Sephi, non-album single. To be honest, I haven't heard that many non-album singles from Deadmau5 that really blew me away. I mean, I usually like them, but there are very few that I love. Even the ones that people tell me I should love, for the most part I'm just like, yeah, that's pretty cool. But that's about it. Like Oral Synapse, for instance, a song that I should love, but that doesn't actually do much for me for some reason. Something just always fell off about it. Like the synth tones he uses on the more intense sections kind of catch me off guard, but I digress. The point is, this is one of the few non-album singles from Deadmau5 that I can actually say I love. The fact that it breaks the 10-minute barrier is admittedly a big part of that. Its length really helps it to make it feel huge and ambitious, but of course, length means nothing if you can't utilize it well. And this song most certainly makes use of it, feeling extra spacey and easy to get lost in. It's a song that looks huge and feels even bigger when you actually listen to it. Definitely not one that's worth missing. Number 5. Creep, from While One Is Less Than Two. I think people have figured out by now that I have a particular weakness for whenever Deadmau5 breaks out the piano melodies. If I were including SoundCloud demos, the 7 EP in its entirety could have made this list. But I think I like this track more than any of the piano melodies on 7. The piano melody on this track in particular is one of his catchiest despite its weird time signature, and on top of that he really gets his IDM on here with all sorts of weird glitchy noises flying around. It's kind of like the instrumental to Careless, but much weirder and somehow even catchier than that song. Not much else to say. I've listened to it God knows how many times, and it never gets old. Number 4. I Remember, from Random Album Title. I tried not to put the obvious choices so high up, but dang it, this song still hasn't worn out on me after all these years, despite being really long and repetitive. A perfect blend of Deadmau5 and Cascade styles, great atmospheric vocals from Haley Gibby, what have you. It's a song that really doesn't merit much discussion, to be honest. Everything is just spot on, and I don't see myself getting tired of it anytime soon. That's pretty much all I have to say. Number 3. Terrors in My Head, from While One Is Less Than Two. Here's another song that really deserves more credit than it's gotten. Sure, it's pretty similar to other songs of his, like Sometimes Things Get Whatever, but I've never seen that formula executed quite as well as he did here. The beat-heavy sections are dark, buzzing, and creepy, but not unmelodic, and the piano melody, of course, works by default, having come from the 7 EP. Actually, this track was released on SoundCloud before the 7 EP, but I digress. But despite being being pretty bipolar, the song actually feels pretty cohesive and well put together. Like, the creepy beat and unsettling piano really feel like they belong together, both keeping a brooding and dark, but also somewhat warm feel to it. While I listened to Creep a lot before While One Is Less Than Two came out, nowadays it doesn't feel right to listen to that without listening to this one first. Number 2. Strobe, from For Lack of a Better Name. Yeah, obvious choices, obvious. But it is so popular and well-loved for dang good reason. The dramatic opening, the catchy and danceable back half of the song, the seamless transition between the two, the 10-minute length even better utilized than HR 8938 Cephi. It's just another song that's pretty much too boringly perfect to merit discussion. I didn't want to put this so high up since so many other of his songs deserve better, but then I'd also be lying. Fact remains, I agree with the majority opinion on this one and love every second of it. Only question is, what could possibly be better than basically the most well-loved Deadmau5 song ever? If you know of its existence, then you probably already know what the answer is, but let's finish up this list already. Before we get into number 1, here are some honorable mentions. Some chords from 4 times 4 equals 12. Brazil from Random Album Title. Channel 42 from Album Title Goes Here. Soma from For Lack of a Better Name. Waking Up from the American Dream from Get Scraped. The Veld from Album Title Goes Here. More Ghosts and Stuff from For Lack of a Better Name. Somewhere Up Here from While One Is Less Than Two. Cthulhu Sleeps from 4 times 4 equals 12. Faxing Berlin from Random Album Title. Take Care of the Proper Paperwork from Album Title Goes Here. A Moment to Myself from While One Is Less Than Two. That's enough of that. Now let's get into number 1. Stay Drop the Pop-Tart Edit from Colleen D'Agostino's Collide EP.
Breathe it in now, then breathe it out.
For those of you who don't know of this track, then you might be confused why my number 1 does not actually have Deadmau5 as the main artist. Well, basically, this all goes back to SoundCloud again. This was originally released as Drop the Pop-Tart on SoundCloud, and was a really short demo that basically covered just the intro, as well as Arcadia on SoundCloud that was much closer to the bulk of the song, but instrumental. In a live stream, Deadmau5 combined these two songs into one 13-minute track, and later a further mashup with Colleen D'Agostino's vocals and the track Somewhere Up Here got added to the end of the track, though never actually released, but just got leaked, resulting in a 16-minute unofficial version. Yes, 16 minutes. But I don't count unofficial tracks like that. The thing is, weirdly enough, I think I like this 9-minute final cut a little more. and here's why. The full 13-minute cut is kinda like I Remember, in that while I don't see myself ever getting sick of it, I also don't see myself listening to it twice in a row. It basically stops just a little bit after I think this would probably be a good stopping point. But the 9-minute cut stops a little early, making it more like Strobe, in that it doesn't end so early that I feel like I'm not satisfied that I got enough, but it also doesn't end so late that I don't feel like it dragged on or feel like I couldn't just hit repeat at the end. The track combines basically all the things I like about Strobe, I Remember, and Raise Your Weapon, and pulls it off so well, I'm not sure Deadmau5 even deserves to have his name on it. It's almost at, like, BT's These Hopeful Machines level of awesome. As for those of you who already did know this track existed, you're probably not at all surprised at this placement. In my opinion, this track truly is the best work that Deadmau5 has ever done. But of course, this is just my opinion, you can feel free to disagree with it. But I would like to hear your thoughts, so leave the comments in the comment thing down there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all for today. See you next time.
Look at me now.